Ladies and gentlemen, and people of all genders, welcome to episode 11 of Unwritten Podcast. I am Oleg, this is Chef,
What's up?
and this is Mike. And welcome to the shit show we call our podcast.
Right, Mies and Podcast Stories for the Dish Pit. What's up, man? What's going on, guys?
How you doing? Chilling.
Good intro. Good
Nice.
job, man. They get better and better as we go on. What's happening? How's everybody's week? We always start off with that. What
Very
was
good.
going on? What'd you guys do? Anything good? Did you go get huevos rancheros?
I did, and after that, I bought a rifle.
How does one?
That's because he didn't pay for his huevos rancheros.
I did. No, I did. I paid for both.
That's it. You just paid for both.
So just
I got a rifle, and
at the same place? Like,
No,
did you go to
down
did you
the
go to
road.
like
Down the
Rico's
road.
Rico's huevos rancheros and rifles?
no, I went to a
on Long Island. Where the
no
fuck
on
is it?
Long Island. Yeah, I went down. I bought a repeater there.
Nice.
A little 22 plinker to take to the range.
Oh, very nice. That is our other podcast called Guns and Fun with Oleg, which is a little bit different than the Mies and Podcast. We put
Yeah,
that out
apocalypse
on-
planning.
It's,
I like that. I like that.
it's,
Okay.
watch me cook eggs on my 22 barrel. So man, no, good week. We stopped. We went to Greenpoint this week, right?
Yeah.
We went to Greenpoint. We don't go to Greenpoint much. So we went and checked out Lindsay Jeans. Lindsay Jeans was a slider pop up that our buddy did. So check out Lindsay Jeans on Instagram. I think it's at Lindsay Jeans. You can check that out at the end of it. But it was just really cool. It was done at this place in Greenpoint on Franklin Avenue called Duke's. What was it? Duke's Liquor Box.
Yeah.
Right, Duke's Liquor Box, and it was just really cool. It was just a good vibe, man. Good bunch of people. Had some music going, set up in the back. John did some. My buddy John did some great fucking sliders.
Yeah, he made sliders the same similar type way of the way that George Motz taught him.
Well, that's what we learned under,
yeah,
right? That's
exactly.
He
Yeah.
was working for him for a long time, so
Yeah, he worked with him closely, and he learned under him, and that's how his sliders, like the smash burgers, that's basically what he was making out of those sliders.
what's the concept? What makes a good smash burger, especially on a plancha? You know, because I
Well,
had said
the whole smash burgers, because I was working for a place making smash burgers, and the whole thing was you take the weight, and it's a circular weight, and you smash the burger,
Right.
and you spin it, and you flatten it out, and you basically cooking it faster than it is, and you could still technically cook it to a certain temperature. There's not the same way you could cook it to like medium
Right.
rare.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely no. It's a smash
But-
burger because you get
but-
an 8-ounce
yeah.
burger that's as flat as
But
anything.
you
want.
could have it like cooked halfway, and it'll make it like a medium burger instead of like a fully burnt hockey puck.
No one likes hockey pucks.
Nobody.
Yeah, I know. I forgot about that burger on the grill for like 10 minutes. But there's definitely a difference between them. You know, and smash burgers are like now the new
Yeah, they
craze.
smash it
Everybody wants to
into
go,
a
you know.
bed of
You
onions.
smash it into
Yeah.
a bed of onions. Does
Yeah.
That's the
everybody put it
Oklahoma
onto a
style
bed
that
of
we got.
onions? Does that make it? Because I even asked John when we were sitting there. I was like, listen, every time I've seen this done, and when I've done them for myself on my own grill, I rub the burgers with mustard. I like mustard as a binder or anything, and then just salt and pepper, S&P all day.
Yeah,
just
of
like
course.
Letterkenny, man. That's the only seasoning you need on a steak. Don't do much more on that. You know, but for something like that, S&P and smash it down. And I think the friggin' onions, man. And I love the onions about a smash burger. But I think that makes the burger. And I think that the more the onions sit and the more that moisture kind of drains out into the bottom of the Cambro, wherever they're hanging out after you get a sliced mushroom, then you put them into that burger, the salt automatically starts to withdraw whatever's there, and then you're hitting it with that hot heat from the grill. That's just a great fucking burger. You
See,
don't have to
when
give me
I
nothing
worked
else on it.
for a burger joint, that their whole thing was sliders and mainly the smash burgers. So the way they taught me is like you throw down a bed of onions, you season them with a little bit of salt and pepper, then you add your burger patty on top of that, then you season your patty. Once the onion starts to brown and caramelize a bit, that's when you flip
Flip
it.
it.
and then you put the weight on it and flatten it out, and then
See, I never put the weight back on like a slider or a smash burger or anything like that, you know. But that's funny that we talk about that weight, you know, because we all know about
they
that
put
weight
the
in the
weight
kitchen.
on it for efficiency reasons.
But you
know,
put that
like-
on a burger in a kitchen if you're a grill guy, and you do that anything more that's got to be, you know, medium well to well, or a burger that's on the fucking fly, you look at like an ass, you
Of
know.
course,
but when
yeah.
you do smash burgers, it's all about the weight and all about. And now they have friggin' weights that are designed
Just for that.
for them. And
At
it's all
the
about
job,
that,
we
that
had
turn,
a
yeah.
weight that was like essentially a giant metal coaster with a handle on it.
that's what it is.
And that's what you would do. You would smash it and spin it. So they're kind of like the same way you would temp a espresso. You know, you hold it down, spin it, and that's how you make a proper smash burger.
And I think smash burgers only work with that smaller bun.
they do.
You see, I don't like the a lot of people use the King's Hawaiian rolls, and I'm not. I think they're too doughy. I mean, but I would always go with a smaller brioche. You got that hard outside, you got that nice cakey kind of inside, you know, and it's good to smash. But the key to it is, I also think, is getting those onions once they're right. You know, once you get that flip and those onions, and you got to get that bun right on top, man. But that's the whole White Castle, White Mana burger thing. But that was just a really cool night, man. We had a good time. That was a pretty cool place. Definitely hipster, a little different than, you know, what we kind of usually hang out with, but it was good. So shout out to Lindsay Jeans. Shout out to John. You did a great job. They'll be at Duke's Liquor Box. What's tonight?
This
Tuesday.
Thursday.
So this Thursday from I think 4 or 5 to 8 o'clock, or until he runs out. Man, just go support the guy. He's trying something new and he's doing something, and everybody takes a risk, just like we are with 11 episodes and 100 and almost 30 people watching us.
Nice.
Subscribe.
Well, since the show comes out on Thursdays,
So it'll be
technically-
today.
It'll be
Thursdays,
today.
Right. And today is the
Breaking
first day
the
of
fourth
spring,
wall
and
over
it's
here.
freezing here in friggin' New York and Brooklyn, and I still got a thermal on.
It's only 45 degrees.
It's cold. I get cold fast. Yeah. But thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to everybody who subscribed, everybody who watches the reels and things like that. We're going to be doing more of that. We're going to be getting out. I do want to give a shout out to Reds, and you know we talk about going out, but we got to get over there. So we'll probably do that maybe before the next episode.
Definitely.
But we got our first patch, Spade.
Nice. First patch.
We got our first patch.
First patch. And
So that's going to go on the chef coat.
Definitely got a problem.
And anybody else, we're still waiting for what's Andre's place? Back in the closet.
Back in the closet,
We're still
yeah.
waiting on one from them. We're still waiting on Mr. Pierce and your entertainment company. So hit us up. You know, and let us know when you're going to get us
And
our
Throttle
patch made.
Junkies,
And Throttle Junkies and everybody. We got so many people to shout out, you know. And Lindsay Jean, you get us a patch too, and we'll put it on. But thanks everybody for watching. So let's talk about a couple of things that came up. Unwritten laws in the kitchen. And we saw this on social, and within minutes, it's funny, man. Within minutes, we both put it up on the same, you know, group chat that we're all in, you know. And I was like, I just saw that, but I want to go through some things real quick. And it was unwritten laws in the kitchen, you know, and
unwritten laws that were written down.
right. And somebody, I can tell you exactly where these were. It was a pissed off chef one night, and he had a couple of he probably had a lot of drinks. But, you know, everybody's out of the kitchen, you're having your drinks, and now you're just going at the computer, and then you printed this and put it on the walk-in box.
The funny thing is, those laws are in that restaurant years after he left it. So people respect that.
Right, but the other great thing is when you're going through these, there's so many things that I know I do to this day, and there's so many things, they just are unwritten laws, you know. And the first thing is don't be late, man. Be 15 minutes early to your shift and no shit. If you
15
clock
minutes
in
early is on time.
If you come in, if your shift starts at 7 and you're clocking in at 7 and then take another 30 minutes because you got to go to the bathroom, you got to do this, you got to do that, you're late.
Yeah.
Get there early. Be ready to start on your shift when your shift starts at 7 o'clock. And that's just an unwritten law. And again, these are unwritten laws. It's just the things we go by in a kitchen because we're different people, you know. And you know, I put up something the other day and it caused a little stir with everybody like, oh, you know, you're old timers and you're shoe kissers, because I'm like, nobody cares. Just work. We didn't get breaks. We didn't do that. Those times are over. But you know what? To us, those still exist. And this is what it's about, because us old dogs are going to take that to the grave with us in the restaurant industry. I may yell as a chef. Oh, and somebody said this to me today. She said to me, my employee said to me today, she's like, I know you're only yelling at me because you care about what's going on. 100%. But if you're a fucking banana, you're a banana. You know, I can't teach you. I can't teach you how to be smarter. It's just common sense. If you don't have that in a kitchen, it's not a good thing because we think on the fly. It's the
They're
only industry
lucky
where
it's
we're
not the
thinking on the
90s
fly.
and there's no flying frying pan.
Oh, I had a chef that wore a mouthpiece and threw fucking plates. Swear to God, wore a mouthpiece and threw plates, and we worked at, it was, you know, in my early time in the 90s, so I was at a very large resort, and for this to happen back then, you didn't say shit. You know, and you still don't. But the old school guys like us, I still won't say things like that in the kitchen. You know, just shut up and do your job. That's it. Sometimes I have to say things as a chef just to say shit. Just let me talk. Just don't even reply. Don't answer. Just let me talk.
You're basically thinking out loud, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Yeah, several people up here, and they just go. Keep vendors honest. Check your product.
You definitely do.
Gotta check your product.
If you do that shit with your dealer when you're buying weed, you got to do that with your vendor. You know, like, come on, let's be real here. Like, if you bust out a scale when you're trying to buy a bag at home, do the same honest type work when you are trying to buy things for your restaurant.
Check your product.
Check
man.
your product. If you're not gonna eat it yourself, don't serve it.
Well, that's the other thing, but definitely, especially with the big purveyors, man. Cisco, U.S. Foods.
Yeah.
I use U.S. Foods now, and it's just every order that comes in, I get 2 orders a week, Monday and Thursday. I'm like, check it. You know, chef, we ordered 2K. You know, and the times when they don't check it, I'm like, I should have fucking checked it. But I'm sitting in the office and I'm like, I got this and that to do, and I'm like, you know what, they got it. I got trust in them.
Yeah.
And then I come in and I'm missing a case of a 5-gallon bucket of vanilla ice cream. Like, how did you not check in a $5? Well, we got a little. No, you didn't. You're here to check it in.
Exactly.
Check in the product. And don't be afraid to check your vendors, man.
Yeah.
Check them. Even with Cisco, with the driver, there's been so many times where I've been like, bro, you shorted me a case of what I need. I needed 2 cases of shrimp. You got what? You tell me the ones on the truck. And then the best is, we got a couple of more routes. We're going to come back. You are not coming back at all with your 18-wheeler to where I'm at.
That's how
Just
things
either-
fall off the truck, and they're
But
sold to
that's
somebody else.
And that's when I say, listen, man, you know how much business we do at you. You know the size of the corporation I work for. Honestly, and I've said this. I said it Monday. I'm like, there's another case of shrimp on that truck, and I know it's on somebody else's pallet. Either you find it or I find it, and short them and not me, bro. I need this. Either that or I gotta go to Perth Amboy and pick it up.
Yeah.
You know. Always check your vendors.
No,
man.
definitely.
That's a huge thing because they'll pull it off you. And
That's why bribing people works. Back in the day, you used to just bribe your vendors, and you get all the best pick of the litter. You know, like old school ways.
What else is in there? Oh, also, this is huge. I'm going to say this. A hangover isn't an excuse.
No, I've never had a hangover or an excuse why I've never missed work because of the night before.
No, because you're doing it yourself, and you're usually with the same
my
four
fault.
stupid fucking people that are working the opening the next day for 14 hours.
Yep.
So you're going to sit there and hate life and curse it, and then one of them call out or one of them don't show up. Oh,
Then everybody makes fun of them.
my goodness, you're done. You're done for weeks. You'll never live that down. But no, hangovers. I would go into work, and I've thrown up in buckets in a garbage can at the end of the line just so that my chef could be like, all right, you could not go home. I never got sent home. Just go hang out somewhere else. Or one of the guys that I was on the line with would be like, yo, bro, just step off. And we did
It's
that
a
for each other. That's what you
fucked
did.
up
Don't call
industry.
out for a hangover.
Working through your injuries or through your illnesses was part of the job. Like it was expected of you. Now people think that they have rights.
Yes, you have rights. You get a break, you get this. There's no rights, bro. That's why I was laughing when they were like, oh, slave, you're a shoe licker. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, all I did was put up a post that said, shut up and work harder. That's it. Just
But when
shut
you
up and
have
work.
a team of like 4 people, that you rely on that team of 4 people to be your weak team, you know? Like,
Yeah, but nowadays there's a whole different generation of cooks. And now it is everybody, you know, the internet has taken over, and they're not the type of people that we were. And I'll say this out, I'll say it to whoever in the internet world you want to listen to. If you didn't come up cooking in the 90s and in the late 90s and early 2000s and learn that way and learn that type of ethic and that type of grind and just to be yelled at constantly because we grew up being yelled at. You know, that was it. We were just with Gen X, right? Gen X? Gen Z. Gen X. Gen Z. Whatever the fuck.
Either or.
But anyway, we grew up just being, I came home to it was me, fending for myself. That was it. We took care of ourselves. And And that's why we got into the business, because we're all broken. We all needed somewhere to go. We're all, in trouble with the law. We all have habits. We all do this. We all do that. But the restaurant is where we all thrive.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of person that works.
Because we have something to focus on, we have something to focus our brain on. Like we'll have our downtimes or whatever, but we'll make sure that we come into work, knock out our shift, make the best of it.
And then went out for fucking 12 hours and came back in, sometimes drunk, sometimes still fucking going, but we got through it. And that's what we did, because you couldn't be the guy to call out. I still can't be like that. And I get vacation time and all that. I hate that. I'd rather show up and have somebody be like, well, not now. I'll send myself home, but but just to show, I would rather have my chef tell me to go somewhere. Like I remember I was out doing a golf tournament, large golf tournaments we do. If you're watching this podcast, I'm not going to mention who we are, but you know who it is. And we were out there, and all the chefs, you get a bunch of chefs getting together, from all over the country that work for one company, and you put them all in one spot. That's it. It's a beast. You're going out, you got guys that are amateurs at it and don't know how to cut it out. So they're out until like 5 o'clock in the morning with a 6 o'clock call to wake up. I remember one time I was one of those guys. We were at a karaoke bar, and I had the beer bottle on the dance floor with me, and the chef, we'll call him Big Ed, was with me. We were just having a great time. The band's playing, and it's just live karaoke. And, I got a bunch of, I was like, with the bottle, and it sprayed. And the guy on stage was like, yo, what the fuck you doing? We were like Hoffman. Big Ed was just like, bro, 6'7", just 300 plus, just bald, Elvis loving chef. I love you, Ed. He looks at the guy. He just stands right in front of me. He's like, nah, bro, you're not doing that. So that's the bond you build.
Yeah.
The next day I walked in, and we had a busy day. It was like, it was the 16th, 17th, and 18th hole, so everything was going. We had a 5 o'clock call. We got back to the hotel at 4 to change and left. And I show up, and I look at my culinary lead, and I'm just like, listen, man, I am hammered. So he gives me a rider for one of the performers that was performing it. It was Brett Michaels. And he's like, you got 6 hours to get this. He's like, you did good all week. You have 6 hours to get this. And he looked me dead in the eye, and he said it. And he was a partier back in the day, too, just like us. And he looked at me. He's like, Christopher, you have 6 hours to get this. The only thing not included was the wink. And the rider was 4 cartons of egg whites and a fruit salad. Everything was already done. Other 7 hours, I'm in the media tent, just like, dead passed out. But you have that respect
I never
for the guys
got
that
that
do it,
lucky.
but you never not show up.
No, of course. You show up, and the only way you go home if you get sent home.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta be borderline dying for you to get sent home.
And the biggest flex ever is to get cut or to hurt yourself, have to go somewhere to get stitches, and then come back to work the rest of your shift. Or you go to your bathroom, you fix yourself up. Shit, bro, I cauterized my hand on a hot pan. No shit.
That was when I lost the tip of this thumb when I was working, and I was slicing... was it eggplant in a deli slicer, and my boss insisted that I wear gloves, and my glove got caught in the blade, which is technically an OSHA violation.
But in the kitchen, like people sending you home.
Exactly. I told him I should not wear gloves because I'm gonna feel the blade, and the machine better that way. The glove got sucked into the mechanism, and the blade took off the corner of my thumb. And it got sliced off and went to the guy, and he didn't want to help me. I had to glue my shit back together.
But you were literally able. You were the guy who was able to do that thumb trick.
I glued myself back together, and then at the end of the day, not even at the end of the day, after I glued myself back together, he's like, "All right, you got 2 options. You either go home or go to the hospital because you can't continue being like this. You're missing a chunk of your thumb. You cannot even hold anything at this point.
You wrap something in paper towels, put whatever you can over it, 5 gloves.
Exactly. That's it.
You got a pool of blood in your thumb.
But then on top of all of that, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going home. But I had to ride my motorcycle home from Lynbrook back to Brooklyn with my thumb all taped up. It barely fit into my glove, middle of winter. it was quite an experience.
Unwritten rules. Stay, definitely don't call out. Just show up to work. If you're throwing up, it's even better. And if you ever take a competency test and they ask you if Johnny's got diarrhea, what should you do? Send him home or wash the lettuce. Johnny's washing the lettuce. It's just how stupid those things are. But just the common sense, the unwritten laws, man. Don't ever call out, especially if you're out drinking, if you've been hanging out. No glasses in the kitchen, that's obvious. Stay hydrated, stupid things like that. One last one I want to get to. There's a couple of good ones in here. There's funny ones. Bend your knees when you're lifting. That's obvious, it's stupid, but it's really important, man. Look at me now. I can hardly stand up when I go to pee. The one I like the most is Expo always wins. Expo wins no matter what. Don't argue with the Expo. Expo's calling it out. Doesn't matter how many times you put the same plate in the window. I just sold that. Yep. You know what? At the Expo, and that's one of my favorite spots at the pass. But at the Expo, he's the conductor. He's coordinating.
He's like the maestro.
Yeah, man. What he says goes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So Expo always wins, man. Those are just some unwritten laws. We're going to put this up on the page. And if you listen to this on one of the Facebook groups that we're on, and this is what you put up, but I'll hit you up privately and let you know. But thanks. That was a great thing for us to talk about. That was actually really cool. There's some unwritten laws, and these are stories from the Dish Pit. It's an unscripted podcast where we just kind of write down some things we want to talk about and then go from there. So who knows? What about, let's talk about something different. I know we had talking about snitching in the kitchen and things like that, but that's just law. I want to know what makes a good sandwich. What makes a good sandwich? And coming out here from Brooklyn, if you guys are on TikTok or if you're on YouTube, get on TikTok, watch all this. You'll see the guys from DeFonte's, the kid. I forgot his name, the kid, the guy. He's younger than me, so he's a kid. But, he's blowing up his family spot, and DeFonte's is great. And if you want a real Brooklyn sandwich, that's where you go.
Yeah.
You don't get nothing better than that. But there's certain things to a sandwich out here in New York, and especially like Brooklyn and Staten Island, that you're not going to get anywhere. But what builds a good sandwich? What makes the sandwich? Is it the bread?
In my opinion, it's a combination of a lot of things. Like, you got to have love for actual sandwich making. You got
anything you put into your food that you're making for somebody else, you have to have that love into it.
You have to, but it can't be like the same type of ethics you have when you're working at Subway. It can't be like just generic, like, these are my ingredients that I'm throwing on the sandwich. Like, the reason why a lot of these sandwich places thrive for 50 to 100 years because they care about their product. They care about their customer and everything like that. So it's fresh ingredients, fresh bread, and...
I think, not to cut you short, but I think... as to, what makes a good sandwich, I think the first thing is something we have up here, and you could say it's the water or whatever. And, I know for a fact because I've gone to Florida and worked in places that have tried to, mimic pizza doughs up here. It's got to be something with the water.
Well,
it's got to be because there's no better fucking thing, man, even to get a chicken Parmesan with vodka sauce on a good semolina bread, Mike. Spade.
Look. Even the bagels.
Well,
the bagels.
The bagels alone.
One of the main reasons why New York things are so coveted is because of New York has a really high pH balance in the water. No, like that is scientifically.
I was watching something on Facebook about pH balances, but it wasn't water.
I helped open a pizza restaurant in Cali that mimicked scientific by using science to raise the pH balance in the water, so that he would be able to mimic.
You can't mimic the water here.
Brooklyn water, and like it works. Like if you mimic it, it's almost like same thing as buying the high rich pH waters. It's almost the same content of pH.
I've worked for one catering company that had one spot here and one spot in Jersey, and the Jersey location wasn't getting the same bread as it was from out here because they were getting from Brooklyn, and Brooklyn didn't deliver out there and out to Jersey. So before we would go and pick up the bread at 4 o'clock in the morning, people would complain. But that's not the Brooklyn bread we want. Brooklyn bread is just different.
It's also the same thing with all the cooks that are doing it.
Well,
like ingredients are one thing, and then at the same time you have cooks that are like, I'm gonna alter this ingredient. I'm
well,
gonna,
that's what we were talking about.
You
You know,
know?
don't fucking alter. If I come in and I order the fucking the
If it's a signature
Don
dish,
Giavesi
yeah.
and this is what it is, that's what I want. Don't be
Exactly.
don't be putting
don't try to put your spin on it. Like
yeah, Southwest chilies on the bottom
I'm
of it
all
and tell me it's
about
my
trying to
Italian hero.
reinvent the wheel, but if it's a signature dish on the menu, like people are coming back for that dish for a reason, you know, like.
So I think, and this is just my personal opinion because I like sandwiches and I'll eat a sandwich. And by a sandwich, I mean a sub, like a submarine, a hoagie. That's a sandwich. You see that? A sandwich comes on either that in my consideration or else I eat sandwiches out of everything. But if I want a good sandwich, it's either coming on semolina or a good hard Kaiser roll, right? That's the base of a sandwich. I think what builds good sandwiches is your base, which is your sauce that you're putting on. So I think your condiments got to go, and they got to go on both sides. So I'm a big fan of mayo. Slather that shit on. Let's talk about an Italian hero. So I want mayo on the bottom, and then your denser products, your tomatoes, your denser vegetables, then your shredded lettuce, because you can't have don't give me leaf lettuce, don't give me whole romaine bed, give me shredded lettuce in New York on my hero, And then every hero just should get oil and vinegar. I think it's a standard, and that's all about it. And then your meat products go on that, and your cheese is the cap. That's what goes on top. That's the first bite you get into it. Condiments on both sides, be it mayo, be it whatever. But if you're building me, especially an Italian hero, because that's what we go by, the mozzarella, if it's fresh made, and not like the brick that's fresh made, because there's a lot of places that do that. They get the brick that comes in, they slice it down. But if you're in a spot making fresh mozzarella, that's the top of it that I want to get in. That's got to wrap my sandwich like this.
But as far as the bottom layer, I definitely agree as far as shredded lettuce, because if you do the slabs of lettuce over the mayo, it'll just slide all the ingredients off
Everything
of it.
goes.
Yeah.
So it's just like putting shredded cheese on a Parmesan versus slices. I don't like slices on a Parmesan.
Bro, the
or
worst thing
anything
you
when
can
you're
do is
melting cheese.
grab a sandwich and
the
bite
whole
it and
fucking
everything
thing
slides
slides
out.
off.
It's the
And
worst fucking thing.
And that's why every sandwich that I ordered does not get tomatoes, because people don't know how to.
Not if they don't build it right.
Right,
If
but
you
they
have
don't know how to
build it
cut-
right.
they
There's
don't even know how
building
to
of sandwiches. Why do you think they call it a bed of lettuce? Because it
Right.
doesn't go fucking on top, or else
They
it'll
don't
be a
cut
blanket
the
of lettuce.
tomato the right way. There are places that cut thin sliced tomatoes.
Everything's got to be
done.
done on a slicer.
Right,
Yeah.
but they're not
and
doing
if you put
that.
fucking onion on it, you better have somebody who could chop a fucking onion like I can, paper thin, or else they're doing it on the slicer, and it
Right.
should only be shaved onion.
Yeah.
Don't give me no chunks of red
definitely.
onion this thick that
No,
Sergio
for
didn't
what?
care about
For
cutting.
what?
I
Because
don't want
then
to bite into that.
it changes the texture of
Change
the whole sandwich.
texture of the
Yeah.
temple of the sandwich. If there's onion on the sandwich, especially with oil and vinegar, it's got to be shaved. You have to shave your onion as thin as you get it. You can shave your prosciutto this thin, and you can read a paper through it. Shave your onion the same way. That's the only way you should put it on a sandwich.
Tomato too, please. Tomatoes, because you guys suck at tomatoes. That's why I
Well,
don't
the-
order sandwiches with tomatoes.
You know my
I don't
favorite-
even do burgers with tomatoes anymore because it becomes so slippery and.
But it's all
gooey
about
and
the
slimy.
build. And like Oleg said, if you care about what you're building, and even something as simple as a sandwich, man.
But that's the problem. Nobody cares.
Well,
They're
nobody
just,
gives a shit.
they're just
because-
slopping things
because
right
that's
on
why,
top.
because it's a different youth than when
Yeah.
we came up in early years, and nobody gives a shit about what they're doing. Because now it's all about, I want to have my breaks. I need my safe space. You walk
People
too
don't
close to
take
me. You
pride in
look
their
at me
work.
different. You have a tattoo that's a ham, and I disrespect that, and it's not right, because when you show me your tattoo, I feel disrespected. That's how pathetic it's become, especially in the industry, and that shit just needs to stay out. You have to understand, if you're in the restaurant industry or you're working in anything hospitality, where you're dealing with food, where you're dealing like pressure like that, understand, us chefs, anybody who's a chef, anybody who wants to call yourself a chef, you're a dick. You're an asshole. You're going to be like that on the line because you have a job to get done. Because you filter what goes through to your employees underneath you, and they only have to hear the bullshit that you want them to hear. So you deflect a lot. So when we're there, we're busted ass, we're doing things, just do everything the right way. Just show compassion and love in what you do, man. And that's what it is about food. So we are a different type of people. Now they need breaks, they need this. No, you want to call me a shoe licker? Okay, you know what? But I have ethics. And I work a lot different than you, because still at this age, at almost 49 years old, I'll still do 60, 70 hours a week, and I'll still pull a 12-hour shift on saute, and I'll work circles around half people.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I love what I do. And I'm not about the money. This career, I didn't get into it for the money. I got into it for the love of food and seeing clean plates and people being happy.
Exactly.
Word up. Sorry, I'm going on those rants. So listen, so that seems like it's the last ticket of the day. But I have a discrepancy about foil. What is my problem with foil? Oleg's tip of the day is going to lead into my discrepancy
my tip
of
of the day is
foil.
going to lead into this, but my question is, which is the way most people were taught, is that when you wrap something in foil and throw it into the oven, it's shiny side up, right?
Right.
Well,
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I just kind of went with, whoever put the roll in, because I don't care if it's saran wrap or if it's anything. Whenever you open the box, somebody's either turning the roll around because it doesn't look right to you, because it's like toilet paper. Toilet paper should get out. The beard should come out the front, not out the bottom.
It should be a beard, not a mullet.
You don't want nobody's poop fingers on it. So it's the same thing with that. So when it comes, then you turn it around and then it's all wrong. So now you don't know which is which. I always went just whichever way it was pulled, but my most thing was shiny side down.
No.
No, according to Reynolds, in 1947, they said there's absolutely no difference whichever side you put. It doesn't cook any different way. It's just the way manufacturing, just the way it rolls off the rollers. One side just happens to be shinier than the other. But that goes into my tip of the
Just the
tip
tip
of the
with
week.
Oleg.
That's when you do the beepy thing.
Then you got to do the beep, 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 beep. We have to help out Mike sometimes. He's got one eye today.
So the tip of the week is if you're ever in a bind and you need to make guacamole or anything that requires avocados to actually be soft instead of
So like if you get in a case of bullets.
Yeah.
So bullets, if anybody doesn't know, they're unripe avocados. They're just hard like bullets, and they're mostly green and so forth. But sometimes we get those in, and we gotta make them ripe faster.
you got to make them right for service. And the best way that I've learned that nothing is instant. Like there's no magic tricks, but the fastest way you could possibly do it, it doesn't involve a couple of days, is if you wrap the avocado in foil and you put it into the oven on the middle rack on about 200 degrees, and you keep checking on it after like around a half an hour. Put it in there and you check it. As it gets softer, that's when you can take it out. And
So the aluminum is basically going to cause a chemical reaction.
yeah,
That's going to force the avocado to
force ripen,
To
yeah.
force ripen.
yeah.
That's a pretty cool technique, man.
I learned that
That's a pretty
years
cool
ago,
technique. Thank you for that.
and it's a fun little technique.
Does it matter if you use? Does it go faster if you have the shiny side up or out?
Doesn't matter. Shiny
That's it.
side up is always the way I've been.
It doesn't matter,
going.
ladies and gentlemen. Fuck brunch. I am Chef.
I
This
am
is
Oleg. Cheers, episode 11.
That's Mike Spade. Thank you to everybody that's listening. Thank you to all walks of life that tune into us. This is the Bees and Podcast, Stories from the Dish Pit. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.